Folks, let me introduce Debra Lancaster, Executive Director of the Center for Women and Work at Rutgers University. Good to see you, Debra.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having us.
You got to let everyone know what the center is and the importance of its work.
The Center for Women and Work, based at Rutgers in New Brunswick, has been around for about 30 years. I think it's our 30th anniversary next year. And throughout its history, we've been focused on supporting, achieving women's economic equity in the workplace and in their communities. And so we do that through research, programming, and education.
It is the Center for Women and Work at Rutgers. The website will be up right now. Let me ask you this: paid family leave. What is it? Why is it so significant? And as we put up the website for the government agency, it's one thing to put up the website for the Center for Women and Work at Rutgers, but there's also a government agency. I'm not sure which department it is, but you actually need to know which agency is doing what. And that's why we'll put that website up. For paid family leave, what is it, Debra? Why is it so important? Because not enough people are accessing it.
That's right. I'll give a really brief history, but in 2009, New Jersey became only the second state in the nation to pass paid family leave. Now, a number of other states have followed, but New Jersey has a paid family leave program, and most workers are eligible to take advantage of it. You can take up to 12 weeks of paid leave to bond with a newborn or a new child in your home, to care for a loved one who's ill, or to cope with domestic violence or sexual violence. And the paid leave could be taken 12 weeks at a time, so consecutively, or over 56 days. That's known as intermittent leave. And workers are eligible for up to 85% of their wages while they're on leave. And that's capped at, in 2022, $993 per week. And the Department of Labor, New Jersey Department of Labor, is the agency that is charged with implementing the policy in New Jersey.
A couple of things. Number one, we will have the Secretary of Labor, the Commissioner. Secretary is the name on the federal level. We'll have the Secretary of Labor and the state of New Jersey on soon to talk about this. But I also want to follow up. Mm-hmm. I remember when the law was passed, and there was great fanfare around that, Debra. But it's one thing to have a law passed. It's quite another to have it implemented, and it's quite another to have people ask, well, why is public awareness important? Well, we put the website up again is because you can pass a law, but if people don't know about it, access it, and utilize it, it's not really that useful. This is huge. New Jersey's leading the nation in this regard, is it not?
It is in terms of policy, but I think what we have here is a policy that is ahead of where we are as a culture. So,
what do you mean?
So I think that, paid family leave is an excellent policy to advance gender equity, racial equity, and allow families who don't have access to paid family leave through their employers, which is at least 80% of our workforce, to have access to paid time off so they can care for their loved ones during a time of need. So what I mean by where we're at culturally, most workers need time off to care for a loved one at some point. I mean, almost everyone does. Sure. And so the policy we have in New Jersey really can go a long way in supporting workers and being able to do that. I think one of the challenges is that culturally, we're just not there. So, one is, and you reference this, implementation of the policy, or any policy, quite frankly, is complex. So I don't want to minimize how hard it is to pass policies like this in states, or certainly, and we still haven't done this at a federal level. So it's a real challenge.
Well, hold on, time out. Debra, why not? Why not on the federal level? And dare I ponder the question as to whether partisan politics would have anything to do with paid family leave. We're taping this literally a week after the midterm elections. The House looks like run by Republicans, the Senate by Democrats. There's a Democratic president. Would that have anything to do with why paid family leave is not a federal reality and it's state by state?
I mean, you know, I think part of the reason paid family leave isn't a federal reality or a reality in a lot of other states is that, you know, we don't value caregiving in our country. So I think that that's the bottom line. We don't value the people who are paid to do caregiving, and we don't think of employees or workers as caregivers. We think of them as workers. I think we're still in a culture that largely sees workers as individuals and not as people that are also leading families. And
even post-COVID, sorry for interrupting, but even, I shouldn't say post-COVID, given the reality of COVID, you believe that we haven't caught up with the fact that all of us are just trying to manage it at work and at home, and the barrier, the wall is not that clear between the two. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that post-COVID, I think that, and you know, obviously we're still managing COVID, the flu and everything else, but I think this just highlights, you know, I think that we had a lot more conversations about caregiving and the need for paid time off, sick leave, and kind of providing some support for workers. And look, we had some temporary policies in place at a national level and a state level. Proves that there's research evidence that supports these policies, that they're good for employers, they're good for workers, they're good for families' economic stability. That's right. Paid family leave, you know, is one of a rare policy that is truly supported by a fairly significant body of research evidence. Right. So, because of course we have a lot of research evidence, not just from the states that have passed paid family leave in our country, but also around the world. We are the only wealthy nation that doesn't have a national policy on paid family leave. So we're truly behind in this arena, and our policy is not aligned with the research evidence. So I'm cautiously optimistic that this is an area where partisan politics, where you know, this issue cuts across the aisle. So I'm hoping that we'll still get a national policy at some point in the future.
And I assure everyone watching that every member of Congress who appears on our programming will be asked that question. The two members who happen to be Republicans in the House delegation, every Democrat, and our two United States senators will stay on this issue. Debra Lancaster from the Center for Women in Work at Rutgers University, I want to thank you for joining us. Well done.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. MD Advantage Insurance Company, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, the Russell Berry Foundation, the Adler Aphasia Center, Summit Health, and by Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Promotional support provided by AM 970 The Answer, and by NorthJersey.com and Local IQ, part of the USA Today network.
I'm very grateful that I'm still here.
That's me and my donor when we went to celebrate our first anniversary.
With a new kidney, I have strength.
They gave me a new lease on life.
I'm still going everywhere and exploring new places.
Nobody thought I was going to be here. Nobody.
And I look forward to getting older with my wife. That's possible now.
We're transforming lives through innovative kidney treatments, living donor programs, and world-renowned care at 2 of New Jersey's premier hospitals.
They gave me my normal life back. It's a blessing.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.